Do you think a far lefty can win a national election in this day and age? A presidential election. Do you think that could happen?
Far left, you mean like AOC?
Yes. I'm just on whether it's what you said about Newsom, whether it's an AOC. I mean, do you think somebody like that can win a general election for the presidency of the United States in this day and age? I don't think so.
Maher came out blazing. He took aim at the so-called woke crowd, Hollywood elites, and even Democrats, accusing them of locking themselves inside an echo chamber where real truth never breaks through.
The Democratic Party is a ghost brand. You know what a ghost brand is? It's like Sears or, General Electric. It's still a company, Abercrombie and Fitch, but they've really fallen on hard times.
Yeah.
But they've been around for a long time. So there is value in, it's an asset, right? Because there are still people who know of the company, and if you could have somebody take it over, who's not sentimental about that company and, relaunch it, rebrand it, but it would have to be somebody who is unapologetic about calling them out. People have lost faith in the Democratic Party for very good reasons.
He tore into the Democratic National Committee, calling out what he sees as major flaws in their effort to reclaim the White House. And when the sharp-tongued comedian shared his take, he made sure nothing was left sugar-coated.
Right now, I got to get to my next guest. Oh, he's an actor, a comedian, a producer, a writer, and host of the hit HBO political talk show, Real Time, with Bill Maher. The one and only Bill Maher is with me right now. What's going on, Big Time? How are you, sir? How's everything?
I'm not an actor.
Well,
Don't ever call me an actor.
I apologize.
I'm the opposite of an actor, like you. Actors are avoiding the truth and playing parts. We're real and telling what's real.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I correct myself. Thank you.
Bill Maher kicks things off by blasting Hollywood, accusing its power players of ignoring reality and choosing to look the other way. From there, he turns his fire on politicians, calling them performers rather than genuine leaders and faulting them for keeping Americans in the dark about the truth. He makes it clear that nobody gets a pass and that his words come with no soft edges. The sting only sharpens once it becomes clear which political party he's putting under the spotlight. But before revealing that, Stephen A. Smith asked him about Jimmy Kimmel's return to late night TV, and Maher had plenty to say on that front too.
Assaulted MAGA. That's different. And he didn't lie. He said what he thought was true, which I disagreed with. I mean, I gave my spiel about it on the show last week, and, it was basically saying something very different than what Jimmy said. I don't think he got it right. I think he's, quite frankly, in his liberal bubble, which is why, let's be real, those shows are struggling, is because they, I think, arrogantly dismiss half the country. They don't speak to them, let alone.
This frustration is exactly what fuels Bill Maher's irritation. Unlike many of his late night peers, he's unafraid to call out his own camp. Jimmy Kimmel, on the other hand, along with his left-leaning circle, remains tucked inside an echo chamber where every opinion is mirrored back. More than 95% of their guests are loyal liberals delivering the same talking points, while conservatives are either shut out completely or swapped for tame Republicans unlikely to challenge the narrative. And here's the catch. That formula isn't working. By shutting out voices that could bring authenticity and surprise, late-night shows have lost the spark that once made them culturally important. Their stage feels smaller now, having alienated half the country.
It's a problem. And in the liberal bubble, it had to be someone who was also MAGA, who shot a MAGA guy. My piece was just about how you can't even try to make sense politically of a lot of these people who committed these political atrocities, because they're just crazy. And it's I wish it was politics. That would make it a lot easier. It's actually nihilism. They don't believe in anything.
Maher lays out a strong argument by highlighting what he sees as the true mindset of many liberals. To them, conservatives are dismissed as ignorant, stuck in the past, and indifferent to human life. They paint MAGA supporters as hot-headed zealots with no sense of reason, too consumed by anger to be part of any serious discussion. That stereotype clings stubbornly and refuses to fade. So when Jimmy Kimmel quickly slapped the MAGA label on the supposed offender, he did so without evidence or facts to back it up. It simply reinforced the narrative that conservatives are dangerous, irrational, and automatically to blame. Maher, in his blunt style, didn't hesitate to call out the hypocrisy.
They're all over the map politically. They just want you to hurt like I do. And that's where that was. Jimmy had a different take. He's allowed to have a different take. He's allowed to be wrong. So, some of this stuff gets put out there and then it becomes like the narrative. He lied. He didn't lie. His take was just wrong in my view. And he didn't insult the person that they were worried about getting insulted. And on that score, yes, I mean, I've been always clear about what I think about it. There's no quarter for people who forgive any kind of political violence. Once you start with, yeah, but what he said was terrible. I don't care. Irrelevant if you think whatever you think of it. We don't each other.
One of Maher's core beliefs, freedom of speech, comes through loud and clear. He insists that no one should be silenced, banned, or erased simply for holding a different perspective. In his view, the pillars of America are open expression, honest debate, and the courage to face opposing opinions without fear. Rather than punishing dissent, he argues, the answer is to engage, countering with facts, logic, and common sense. He cautions that democracy doesn't flourish in uniformity, but in the clash of competing ideas. If we lose that, Maher warns, we lose the very thing that defines America.
How do you feel about Trump's reaction to Jimmy Kimmel being pulled off the air? And his reaction, I mean, when Charlie Kirk got assassinated, the first words that came out of Trump's mouth is that it was the left. And obviously when Jimmy Kimmel said what he said, Trump wanted him pulled off the air, even though it was the FCC chairman that really went about the business of making threats along those lines. What were your thoughts about all this?
He comes across as completely genuine. There's no staged act to mislead, no mask to hide behind, and no rehearsed script guiding his words. What you see is exactly who he is. His authenticity, combined with his refusal to bow to Washington power brokers or Hollywood elites, is what earns him such passionate loyalty from his supporters.
Unsurprised? Come on, Donald Trump's been on the stage a long time. You always know he's going to go 100 miles an hour in that direction. He is an actor who commits to the part. Man, just talk about actors. As long as we're on that.
The left, by contrast, parades media darlings and career politicians who survive on pretense, hollow flattery, and carefully staged theatrics. Their lines are polished for applause, but never for honesty. Maher argues that this approach has badly damaged their credibility. Trump, for all his flaws, at least comes across as genuine. And in today's political carnival, authenticity is a rare quality. The irony, he notes, is that the loudest voices now shouting about free speech happen to come from the very same left.
But I will ask you this. When you look at Trump and some of the things that he says, what are you more concerned about in this day and age, Bill? Is it how the right feeds off of what he says? Or is it how the left reacts to what he says? What has you more concerned at this particular moment in time as we just purview the landscape, look at our country and the state of affairs that's going on around us?
Let's be honest. The real reason behind their change of tone is that they're no longer holding the reins of power or controlling the narrative as they once did. Silencing opponents, shutting down disagreement, and stifling debate never seemed to trouble them before. Now, however, they're worried those very tactics could be turned against them by the current administration.
Well, I love it that you always, like what you were just saying before I came on about free speech, and you said, well, let's be honest, the left sort of courted this a little bit because they weren't exactly champions of free speech. So you always have to look at that. I mean, I know that the woke people don't like it.
They brushed aside uncomfortable truths by branding them as misinformation and leaned heavily on social media platforms to censor ideas or voices that didn't fit their agenda. Cancel culture became their weapon of choice, wielded against journalists, authors, comedians, and even everyday people bold enough to challenge their dogma. But now that the tables have turned, they suddenly rediscover a supposed devotion to free speech. Few examples of hypocrisy are this blatant.
It's really fallen on hard times. Yeah. But they've been around for a long time. So there is value in, it's an asset, right? If you could have somebody take it over, relaunch it, rebrand it, but it would have to be somebody who is unapologetic about calling them out. People have lost faith in the Democratic Party for very good reasons. You're the only one I hear who doesn't look like he cares what the other Democrats will say about
I
it.
don't care.
And-
I really don't.
Right, I
I
know.
don't give a damn what they say. I really don't.
Bill's critique hits hard, and he isn't wrong. Today, the Democratic Party feels like a shadow of itself. On the surface, it tries to project strength and vitality, but beneath that facade, it's hollow, drained of genuine substance. There's nothing left to ignite passion or inspire confidence. No unifying leader, no bold vision, no fresh ideas that everyday Americans can rally behind. Instead, the party recycles tired slogans and clings to a playbook that has already failed. What's left resembles less a movement and more a lifeless machine running on fumes. Even its supposed stars can't offer real direction or stir true emotion. Maher's warning is stark. Unless Democrats snap out of this zombie-like state, they're not just flirting with decline, they're staring at extinction.
You also have faith in California Governor Gavin Newsom, did you not?
I love him as a candidate. Yes, I mean you're right. He's not exactly what I'm describing now.
Right.
I think he'd be a great candidate. He has shown in recent months the ability also to move to the center. He would have to do it a lot more, but as a candidate, he looks great. Great speaker, very forceful. Can be mean, which is really important, and he can do it. He also has the backing, or certainly should, of where the energy is in the Democratic Party, the far left, because, he's been out front on a lot of very liberal issues.
Maher shows a bit of inconsistency here, though it's difficult to hold it against him. Bias, after all, is both natural and visible. Take Gavin Newsom. Maher openly praises and defends the California governor, even applauding him at times, yet he stops short of endorsing Newsom as a serious presidential contender. And that hesitation says a lot. Newsom isn't just another Democrat. He's tied to the same machine that has stalled the DNC's growth. His record in California, marked by mounting homelessness, higher taxes, and businesses leaving the state, has dulled the shine. Even some of his strongest admirers struggle to argue that he's the man to revive a faltering Democratic Party. At least not right now. And as Maher himself withholds full support, it raises the obvious question: if he's not convinced, why should anyone else be?
Too far left for me, often. But it is encouraging to see that in at least 3 places I can think of, he has moved it back to the center. But he's got a long way to go if he wants to do that.
Do you think a far lefty can win a national election in this day and age? A presidential election? Do you think that could happen?
Far left, you mean like AOC?
Yes. I'm just whether it's what you said about Newsom, whether it's an AOC. I mean, do you think somebody like that can win a general election for the presidency of the United States in this day and age? I don't.
While figures like AOC and Zohran Mamdani may energize Gen Z, many Americans see them more as outspoken influencers pushing lofty and practical ideals than as leaders presenting real solutions. They command attention on social media and frequently grab headlines, but that visibility doesn't always convert into genuine influence where it matters most: the ballot box.
I mean, anything is possible, and possibly it would excite a certain group of people who have not voted. And I mean, what if 80% of Gen Z voted? Could then a Mamdani-like candidate win? I guess so, but I'm not expecting that to happen, and I don't think it's the smart bet.
They may thrive within their own circles, but that doesn't translate into helping Democrats secure national victories. Popularity is not the same as electability. Recent elections have already proven that online fame doesn't automatically open the doors to the White House. What truly wins is a message that resonates broadly and stands on solid ground. And that's exactly what the far left still lacks.
There was an article in the Atlantic this week about Democratic leadership keeps saying the Democrats should change course away from the far left, but they're not doing it. They should all read that article.
And to me, if they're not doing it, they're not paying attention to what's going to win. They just want to vent. I'm listening to Jasmine Crockett. I'm like, that verbiage ain't going to work. AOC could win the Senate seat and take it from Chuck Schumer in New York City, but that's not going to win a general election. Zohran Mamdani might win the mayor's seat in New York City, and Trump and his acolytes may be scared to death that it's going to permeate throughout the country because of what happened in Minnesota, what's happening in New York City, what potentially could happen in California. But that's not the entire country. So for me, I'm very, very worried about the left because you should be focusing on trying to win the midterms, and I don't see that happening.
If Democrats hope to have any shot at winning another general election, they've reached a breaking point. They must distance themselves from the far left fringe. The middle class is the key to real victories. And while AOC-style politics may excite activists and energize online fans, it drives away the very voters they need most. For the party to survive, it has to step outside its ideological bubble, start engaging centrists, and even attempt to bring a few conservatives into the fold. Politics, after all, is about building coalitions, not hiding inside echo chambers. When purity tests replace practicality, collapse is inevitable. To stay relevant, Democrats must reconnect with everyday Americans, speak to their real concerns, and prove they can govern effectively rather than just preach ideology. Otherwise, they'll continue ceding ground to opponents who understand how to win the majority. Maher's critique serves as a sobering reminder. The party is leaderless, trapped in its own bubble, and being dragged down by failed far-left strategies. Unless it faces reality, steps away from the fringe, and rebuilds trust with the public, the so-called ghost party is heading toward extinction. That wraps up today's video. If you found this analysis helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.